Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. Today's amazing guest is the first person ever to be invited back on the podcast. He is the amazing Rob the American. And there's a reason why he's been invited back today, and it's because he's an American. We've had the midterm elections in the US of A last week, and like many people in this country, I have no idea what it was all about. They've not elected a new president, so what was going on? So first of all, let me welcome Rob to the show.
Hey, Nick, thanks for having me back. I feel honored to be your first returning guest, and I hope I can live up to the hype. I'll do my best.
Well, the pressure's on now as you being the first returning guest. By popular demand, I've had that much fan mail saying, please bring back the American. We want to know more about the American.
Well, since I was on your show the first time, I've had to fight off the paparazzi all the time, and it's because of you. So I'm willing to take one for the team, just for the second show.
Well, all I can say is a huge thank you and a debt of gratitude that I owe you for this. And next time I see you, your Diet Coke will be on me.
Sweet.
So before we start talking about what each other drinks, so obviously you're American, you come from Texas, you understand the American system better than anybody in the general public in the UK. I'm not saying you're an expert on the electoral system in America, but you understand it. So I think my first question is, what were the midterms? I know there were elections, but what's that about? Because you didn't elect a new president. So can you explain that for me, please?
Sure, and let me say up front that I still vote. I vote. I have dual citizenship, so I vote in this country. God help y'all, and I vote in Texas too. So I register. They call it absentee. Some of your listeners might have heard that before, and they send me my ballot to the UK, and then I send it in. So I still vote in Texas, and I'm registered in a specific county, and I vote for local and national also. So just like I was still living there. All right. So
let me just jump in there. You shown me a picture of your ballot paper, and it was something like 10 pages. You had to vote 30 odd times for 30 different people. It was nothing like I've ever seen it in the UK. Nothing like it at all.
Well, it was 7 pages, but when I say, I don't mean like A4 size. I mean giant, like poster size, on 7 sides of different races, and not only so it's national, state, county, and local. So it's the city, it's the county, it's the state of Texas, and national. So yeah. So it took me a while to fill it. You have to fill it in by hand. So anyway, so the midterms, I believe that was your question. What's that about? All right. There are national elections every 2 years in the United States, even though the president is for 4 years. So midterms are the off year elections when there is no presidential race. So President Biden, he's about 2 years in, and he's got 2 more years. So the next election in 2024 will include the presidential election. Okay, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but the midterms are the in between, and that's nationally that's related to Congress, and so there's two houses. You've got the Congress and the Senate. I don't know. It's not exactly like y'all's House of Commons and House of Lords. You would know. You could explain that obviously a lot better than I could. I'm still trying to make heads or tails out of that. So Congress people run every 2 years. So that's just ongoing. So all the congressmen and of the Congress people are elected every 2 years, and then the senators. The Congress people are elected in districts. So it's based on population. So a bigger population will have more Congress people, whereas in the Senate, Okay, there are 100 senators, national senators, and every state, no matter how big or small it is, has 2 senators. All right, so Texas, which is one of the biggest states, has 2, whereas you have Rhode Island, which is one of the smallest and smallest by population, also has 2. It's kind of the great equalizer in a certain sense. But the senators are elected to office for 6 years, and it's staggered. So every 2 years, there are some senators from some states who are up for election. Okay, and they're in office for 6 years.
So that's like a third. So a third get elected every 2 years.
More or less. I don't think it's exactly that. So this for in this election, this midterms, there were neither one of our 2 Texas senators were up for re-election, although the governor of Texas, that race was going on, plus our local Congress people and local races and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically it in a nutshell. So that's the midterms.
Let me ask you a couple of questions on that then. So what? So I don't get into too much detail because you'll lose the whole audience. What do senators do? Are they like MPs here?
You know, I'm still not sure what MPs do, so I can't really.
Half the public here don't know what MPs do.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of Americans are not sure what the senators do, what the difference is. And again, without getting in too much detail, so compared to the Congress people are the ones that put the bills together. They're the ones that are allowed to spend the money. And then once they put bills together, then if that passes the Congress, then it goes to the Senate. And the Senate can read it, leave it as is, and agree to it and send it right back for the president to sign or not. Or the Senate can take a bill that comes out of the Congress and change it, and then they have to get together and come up with some kind of compromise, and then that would go to the president also for his either signature or veto.
Right, that sounds like the House of Lords. So the Senate, to me, this is very simplistic, people, very simplistic. The Senate sounds to me like the House of Lords. That's where the new legislation gets sent to be scrutinized. So so if that's the Senate, the House of Representatives are the ones who create new laws. Is that correct? So that sounds like the House of Commons.
Right.
And
Okay.
then any new law, once it's been agreed, has to be signed off by the president, which in our country would be the monarch. So I do understand the system a little bit better than I did 4 minutes ago now.
Well, but I believe, and again, I'm not you know better than I do, that they pretty much rubber stamp the monarch, and rubber stamps pretty much whatever they bring to him or her, don't they? Whereas the president is under no obligation to sign something and can veto it, and then they can override his veto, but it takes I believe it's a 60 majority. I forget how it works exactly, but it's not easy to override a president's veto. It would take both parties to come together to do that, and that doesn't happen very often.
A minute ago, you mentioned another player in this game, which was the governor. What do governors do?
All right, so we've got 50 states, so we've got 50 governors, and we've got 50 congresses. Now, every state has their own laws, so I can't speak to, each state has their own quirks and this and that. I mean, Texas, the state capital is Austin, and let me tell y'all, if any of your viewers ever have a chance to go to Austin, it's great. It's great. You see the Congress there. The Capitol there is actually bigger than the Capitol in Washington, D.C., of course, because everything in Texas is bigger. University of Texas is there, which is amazing, and good food and friendly people. I'm getting off topic and everything, but I want y'all to contact your travel agent and start making plans, because you won't be sorry. You'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love it. So the governor of each state basically is the head executive for each state, and the United States is set up as a federal system. So each state is relatively not autonomous, but makes their own decisions for that state. And have you seen in this midterm, for those of you who follow it, I mean, it's some very hotly contested governorships, because depending on if you have a Democrat or Republican, it's a very different, what's the word, outlook on how things should be. Okay, and
would it be a fair comparison to say a governor of a state is similar to the Prime Minister of the UK?
Yes, within
Within
certain,
reason, yeah.
yeah, within reason. I mean, right. And then you have the Supreme Court, which we haven't talked about, that is designed to keep them all in check, and can step in if they feel like it's something that, you know, somebody's duties have been usurped or something like that. So you've got those three: the executive, the and the judicial, and the presidential, that all kind of are supposed to kind of oversee each other and make sure it keeps the system working.
And am I right in saying that you vote for judges in the US?
That's true also. Now, again, it's different in each state. So part of the biggest chunk on my election ballot was judges. So we have what we call district judges, and that's in Texas, and the different districts and stuff like that. So a lot of them were, you do vote for judges, and we vote for, so Texas has a Supreme Court, state Supreme Court, and you vote for those guys too. And it's different, again, it's different in each state, but Texas is one that you vote, whether you agree, you think that's a good idea or not, they are political offices. And so you'll see a Democratic judge running against a Republican judge, and you just say, well, aren't judges supposed to be just unbiased, and should that matter? Perhaps not, but that's just the way the system is.
I think that blew my mind the first time I found that out, that you vote for judges. I'm not saying it's a right system or wrong system, it's just your system. But when you've been born and raised in this country, when you find out that you can vote in judges, it's just very strange.
Right. And now the United States Supreme Court, again, that's a different animal altogether. And this is where the United States Senate is key, because the Senate, the US Senate, is the one that deals with judges, and that's Supreme Court judges and federal judges. And the president, whoever the president is, nominates the judges. Now he'll have help with getting names and things like that. They're not expected, obviously, to know every person, you know, who could be judged, but the party that's in control gets to do the picks, and it's up to the United States Senate to confirm or deny that person. So you can see why the United States Senate they were fighting for it like crazy. And it's because for example, President Biden, the Democrat, right, had controlled both houses up until the midterms. Okay. He could put whatever judges he could nominate whatever judge he wanted to, and whoever controls the Senate basically controls if they get on there or not. And because it was a Democratic Senate, the judges that he's put on, he got through. And it was the same with President Trump before him. And that's how President Trump got three judges on the Supreme Court. And so far, President Biden has gotten one. So the Senate is really fought over. Now, Congress, so if y'all have been following the midterms, the Democrats had controlled both houses. Now, the Republicans have just picked up control, barely, of the Congress. And so Nancy Pelosi, if y'all know who she is, was the Speaker of the House. Now she has been dethroned, so she will no longer be Speaker, and the Republicans will nominate a Speaker of the House. take her place. And so now the Democrats will control that, and it will be much less a rubber stamp for President Biden and much more critical of him. And you're going to see that over the next 2 years.
This is a good segue into my next question, which is, so we've had the midterms. People expected a red wave, which is the Republican Party. That didn't happen. So what's been the outcome of the midterms? Who have been the winners? Who have been the losers? What's changed? What's going to be different for the next 2 years?
Well, they were, because the President Biden, his popularity is not very high, and that's, we have the economy worldwide is not doing very well. Inflation is through the roof. Petrol prices, all of those things have weighed his presidency down, whether you think he's responsible or not. And so his personal popularity is very, very low. And because of that, there was a lot of talk about the Republicans coming in there and really just smashing it, taking all the governorships and taking the Congress by a ton of folks, and the Senate, and taking control of the Senate and all of that. So the expectations were very high. And what's happened is did not meet those expectations in terms of the Republicans taking over. It looks like the Democrats have held the Senate. So right now it's 50-49. And there's going to be one runoff in the state of Georgia to decide, but 50 is enough for the controlling party to still be in control because of the vice president. It's complicated, but the Democrats, unless something changes or one of the races is contested and swaps over, the Democrats will hold the Senate. However, as I said, the Republicans have taken over. Now, this is the thing that it has taken. So the elections were a week ago last Tuesday. Some states, they are still counting. Now, you tell me what kind of country that it takes over a week to pick these offices. In this country, in this great country, that night we know, but you have 50 states and you have 50 different election rules. So each state, some states got through it like that, and others, I'm not suggesting there's any shenanigans, but it's hard, no matter who wins or loses. How do you have faith in a system this is not a third world country? I mean, how does that happen? It's insane. And it sows the seeds of doubt. Again, no matter who wins, because if the Republican won and I was a Democrat and it took a week, I'd be like, what took them so long? What was happening? And vice versa. And so that's something that really should not be happening in
especially when you look at what happens in this country, such as on a general election night, we have areas and cities competing against each other about who can count the fastest, who can get the results out the fastest. And it's normally the northeast of England. It's normally somewhere like Newcastle or Sunderland, and it's usually within 3 hours. They've counted their whole area within 3 hours and got the result out. Other places can take 8-10 hours before they will give you their result. But it's still only half a day, and we've got places in America 9-10 days later still counting.
Absolutely.
This is not a banana republic. This is America.
I can't argue with you. I mean, it would be if this was a third world country, the United States would be saying, what's going on over there in your little backwater country? Why can't y'all get it together? Well, you've got Arizona, for example, that took them 6 days 6 days to decide who the governor was going to be. And there's still questions there. How does that happen? That's not even a very populous state. Again, it's just something's just not right. It's just not right that it should take that long. And both sides, that's something that both sides, Democrats and Republicans should be able to come together and say, you know what, we got to get our acts together.
I think every country's system can be improved and needs to be constantly improved to keep the faith of the people. So let's get back to the question. What has changed now in America? What changes are we going to see going forward over the next 2 years? What are the examples you can think of that weren't going to happen 2 years ago but may happen now?
Well, now anything that's going to change is going to be in the Congress, in the House, because now that the Republicans are in charge, you're going to see a lot of questions asked for, I think, COVID, the life during the time of COVID, and some of the things that were done. I think you're going to see people, you're going to see them questioning about. There might be hearings on that. Dr. Fauci, if you know Dr. Fauci, I think they'll bring him up for questioning about the vaccine and just the responses to it and the masks and all of that kind of stuff. You're going to see Biden, President Biden, his son Hunter. You had that laptop. I've already heard rumblings about that they're gonna start questioning that.
There's lots of questions need answering with the Hunter Biden situation. I'm not saying he's guilty, but there's lots of questions that need answering.
Well, if you remember 2 years ago when the election was still going on, the presidential was still going on, if you even put Hunter Biden's laptop, you'd get kicked off of Twitter. You'd get kicked off of social media for even questioning or suggesting that it was legitimate, not a Russian, plant kind of thing like that. Well, we know now that it's
all true.
It's all true. And
it's
so you're going to see that coming out. And so you're definitely going to see them questioning Biden and some of his choices and things like that. So yeah, you're definitely going to see it.
Can the House stop the president spending money, doing what he wants to do? Are they a bulwark against the president doing what he wants to do?
Oh, for sure. The appropriations all come through Congress and stuff like that. So they'll put a stop on that, and some of the things that President Biden has already announced. They were trying to forgive all these student loans. I don't know if y'all heard that, and that's going to. I'm no expert or anything like that, but I think a lot of the stuff that he was attempting to do. However, as the president, you still can. Executive orders president still can sign executive orders and still get things done, bypassing Congress altogether. So that's one of the weapons that today's presidents have. So it's going to be you're going to see some fighting going on. It really depends on how strong the Republicans stay together. If they stay together, they can go after him. If they don't stay together, then it'll be weak. So yeah.
And it's as if I've programmed you. That's another great segue to my final question, because you're talking about the Republicans staying together and not being split, infighting. So yesterday we had the announcement that Donald Trump is running again to be president in 2 years' time. I think everybody suspected it, but nobody really knew. And to announce it after the poor results for the Republicans, I think surprised me a little bit. What's your taking on that?
Well, Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and you can guess what he think he's going to do or not do. You're wasting your time, because I had no up until the moment where he announced it, I wasn't sure that he was gonna. You just never know. So now that it is early still, and I think he's putting his stamp. He's putting his big, impression down for anybody that's going to attempt to run against him in the Republican Party. It's saying, I'm here. Now, of course, I think they were probably expecting a big wave that he would want to take credit for, and use that to his benefit. And you couldn't blame him. But the fact that it didn't quite turn out that way. Now, he did have quite a few of his candidates that did win. Some of the big names didn't win, but he had quite a few. His percentages is still pretty high. And he doesn't control the party, but the movement behind him is still very strong. And the Republicans are expecting big things from the Congress and big things happening. Now, if it had been such a huge wave when President Trump announced that he was going to run again, I think that would have kept pretty much everybody and the Republicans from trying to get in the fight and run against him in the Republican primary. But now I don't know, and you're hearing names. So for your viewers, the biggest name, the name that I'm hearing most is the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who is definitely a rising star. I mean, hugely rising star. Florida, which used to be, could go Democrat, could go Republican. It is, I mean, he won by almost 20%, which when he won initially, he won barely by 30,000 votes because Florida was so mixed. But he has really pulled the Republican Party together and is a shining star in the Republican in the Republican sphere. And a lot of people I say a lot of people, I can't speak for, but this is the stuff that I'm reading and hearing, is that some people are hoping that Donald Trump, that Ron DeSantis will end up being the nominee because of the baggage that President Trump has. And look, in my view, he got a raw deal. I mean, they came after him with all kinds of stuff that wasn't true. And I have British friends who still think some of the stuff that they were saying about him is true. And when I pointed out, they have no idea. So the information that y'all get in this country is not always complete, to put it nicely, and stuff like that. So these next 2 years are going to be insane. I mean, I'm not even kidding.
Let me ask you some questions based on what I've heard over the last couple of days since Trump has announced he's going to stand. So the first thing is his speech where he announced his standing was lackluster. He looked tired. He's not the same man he was 6 years ago. What do you think of that?
No, wrong. Do not ever underestimate. If you look at what I would say to the people that say that is, look at these rallies. Go on YouTube and look at some of these rallies he's been holding in these states. He is vibrant and animated and funny. My guess would be is that he purposely played this down, and it was very serious. He talked a lot about foreign policy. He didn't go after any of the Republican potential challengers, all of that. So do never under those who underestimate Donald Trump underestimate him at their own peril. I promise you, you do not, that's just how it's going to be. And the big question I've been talking to since Elon Musk has purchased Twitter will be if he lets Donald Trump back on Twitter.
That isn't the big question. The big question is, will Elon Musk let me back on Twitter? That's the big question.
Well, let's see. Maybe Trump. Yes, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what. I'll put a word as the American here. I'll put a word in for our Elon Musk to try and Elon Musk. He moved to Texas. He took himself out of California because Texas has no Texas has no state income tax. It's very much a free state. So we want y'all both back on there. Those are two important voices that must be heard.
Another thing I've heard about Trump, would be the red wave didn't come because of Trump, because he's got a big fan base. They will always vote Trump. The hardcore Democrats will always vote Democrat. It's the middle voters you need, the swing voters, and he doesn't appeal to them anymore. What's your take on that?
You know, that's a question. I wish I knew the answer. I don't know the future. I have stopped. I used to predict things and think, oh, this was going to happen and this is going to happen. This is my prediction. What will ultimately affect the 2024 presidential election in America has not happened yet. So it's a fool's errand to count him out. We don't know who, if anybody's going to run against him. We don't even know if Ron DeSantis wants it. There are other people I think that want it, but will they step up? That's the question. That's the $1 million question. Nobody knows. And we don't know people's health. Look, these are older. President Biden, he's an older man. President Trump is an older man. These are older folks. You know, God, we want them all to be healthy, and we want people to live long, healthy, lives. But again, I will tell you this: it's a waste of time at this stage to even suggest that. I know some folks in the Republican Party have written Donald Trump off and said he was his yesterday's news and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily agree with that. But again, we'll see. We'll see.
Before we go, now you've said all that, I need to ask you this. In 2 years' time, who will win the election? Not who's going to stand as president, which party is going to win the election in 2 years' time?
Nick, come on. If
you had to put your life on it now, who do you think?
I might as well just throw myself in front of a bus right now. Come on, that's not fair. Listen, I'm not even sure that President Biden is going to run again. That's the thing, again, his health, I don't want to come after him in terms of his health and stuff like that, but he's clearly not the robust man that he was when he was vice president. That's just life. Some people, when they get older, have done, are much more robust, and some people aren't. And if you're asking me who's gonna be, oh my God, I know what I would like in my heart to happen, and I'm not going to share that with you right now. You can come talk to me in private, and when your fans come after me and tell me, I'll tell them in private, but I'm not going to put it out there now, because y'all are going to throw this in my face in 2 years to say, look at that, see what happened today in 2024, we didn't even know about. And so that's my prediction.
How about in 2 years' time, you come back on the show before the election, a week or two before, and then you tell us what you think is going to happen?
So does that mean I'll be your third time repeat?
Yes.
Guest?
I reckon you could come on before that as well.
You're gonna have to double my salary for coming on your show.
Well, it's easy to double zero. It's still zero.
Oh no, triple zero. Come on. No. What's going to happen in these next 2 years are going to be a roller coaster ride. With President Trump, you always know you're going to get craziness. With the media, everything else, it's going to be insane.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Rob, for coming on and making us all understand a little bit better about the American political situation. Cheers, and I'm sure we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.